All right, good morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy stream. Today we're going to be playing a deck that was very similar to the deck that we tried out Thursday. I received a donation for a Kalitas deck, and the zoom in for me. No, don't feel like zooming in. All right, that. Click to something else and click back here. Nope. All right, we don't get to zoom in today apparently. Anyway, we played this Kalitas deck on Thursday, and it went okay. I put up a 3-2 result, but the deck felt a little bit clunky. It felt like we didn't quite have enough interaction for combo decks, and I just wanted to try the deck again with some adjustments. So the deck originally had 25 lands, 4 of which were wastelands. We're going to try trimming that down to 21. We flooded a decent amount. Like, we did want a lot of lands. Like, we really wanted to get to 3 consistently. But it just felt like we had too much. So we're going to try on 21 lands here. I think either 20 or 21 is probably going to be about right. And when in doubt, play the extra land. That's great generic advice. We had Maze Mine Tome before. Now we're going to try out Cling to Dust, which is potentially pretty strong. Cling to Dust lets you exile a card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, you gain 3 life. Otherwise, you draw a card. That's pretty strong. It's okay in this deck. We can probably escape it about twice reasonably in a game. And this is why there's only like 2 of these. It's an effect that's cool, and it's going to do things like pick Uro out of the graveyard that can be very important. But we're not like this blue cantrip deck that is just going to like super quickly fill our graveyard. We can't overload on graveyard-based energy. It's just not going to work. And then I've added a few extra removal spells. The deck originally had a few more removal spells, but I just kind of changed with the suite a little bit. So now there's the 4th Plague Engineer in the main deck because that card is dumb. There's another, I moved a Liliana's Triumph to the main to free up some sideboard slots, and I threw Bob in there. Adding 2 Bobs and 4 Hymns means we have more turn 1 Dark Ritual baselines, which should be nice. In the sideboard, I added a pair of Inquisition of Kozilek, so that we have a couple of like generic cards that can be boarded in against just about any combo deck. And then I feel with like him, Thoughtseize, and IOK, the combo numbers look a little bit better. And I added Phyrexian Obliterators over a Bitter Blossom or 2 because I wanted to. So let's go ahead and give this a shot and see how it feels this time around. I hope you all are having a good morning. I woke up early, played a little bit of Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and then decided I was just going to start the stream. Usually I start a little bit closer to 9, but the earlier I start, the better chance I have of actually eating lunch on time. I do value that. So, I played this person's Ninjas deck recently. I don't know if they're still on that. There's a possibility they are. Oh, now the zoom works. If they cast a non-creature, I could just, like, cycle this. Otherwise, I try a turn 2 Kalitas into Daze. I have Eliminate for a first Ninja if they're playing that. I am really not excited about this hand. But if it was a 6-card hand that had everything but the Dark Ritual, I would be like, yeah, I guess. So, I don't know that I'm supposed to pitch this. I think I like Dark Ritual before playing a land. The reason being that Daze is probably going to be good against this card at just about any point in the stream. Yep. This is why you don't play 4 mana cards that don't necessarily do things immediately on entering play in Legacy. Like, the removal's just so efficient. I really want to use both ends of this, assuming that we are playing against ninjas. I think I'm just gonna cycle here. Try to hit something like a him. Nope. Alright. Dr. Bill, thank you very much for your continued support. Hope all is well. You Oko, you make a food, I eliminate, you counterspell, I Murderous Rider. How does that all sound? Oh, it sounds good, does it? Yep, I think we're just gonna play this one patiently. These Murderous Riders are not a good clock, so I don't think I need to just throw one in play. And we're just gonna make land drops, make soft permission worse. I don't like that. So for a couple of turns, they've been sitting on some cards that they haven't been playing. I don't like that at all. That's a nuisance. You get a 4/4 out of that. If I don't kill this immediately, kind of a good use of my mana to just Murderous Rider that with Dark Ritual here. Then next turn I can spike a land to just throw 2 Murderous Riders on board. Well, that's probably just better. Let's do that. Whew! Got the Yuriko. I largely consider that a win. Our opponent does have Retrofitter Foundry, which is super annoying. We don't answer that super well in game 1. I have Pithing Needles for it for the post sideboard games, but like game 1, that just does stuff. Immediately converts to a 4/4. That's a nuisance. Yeah, we're just gonna get ground out by Retrofitter Foundry here. That's just gonna happen unless I find a Planeswalker. Or Bob. Interesting, they valued their Ornithopter very highly there. Gonna take this hit. Yeah, alright, we're just dead to this. Like, this is another 4/4 construct. This is another 4/4 in the wings. It's just 3 to untap this, so they get bolt this turn. Alright, not winning that. I think I want these. I think I want these. And I probably want a little bit more removal. This is not really the cling to dust matchup. Let's take those out. I care about this lifelink. It's just like has card zoom just been disabled in this view because it's working during games. You know what? It's probably not disabled. It's probably broken. let's uh let's be real here. I probably want to play to the board quite a bit, and so some of my discard probably gets worse, especially on the draw. Like, as long as I control the ninjas and they're not getting bonus card draw, it seems okay to just, like, throw piles of removal at them and call that that. $10K, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. This hand needs more mana to function, but has an early discard spell and an early removal spell. Those two things together are quite nice. Alright, I mean, I got a 2-for-1 there. I'm good with that. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Glad that you get a chance to catch me live. Time zones are definitely a thing, so that's not always the case that that occurs. Yep, and right after you say that. Makes sense. Yeah, like, time zones were something that I didn't really realize how important they were until I actually started streaming. And, like, got to be a slightly bigger streamer. I'm not, like, a big streamer by any stretch of the imagination, right? But I'm big enough to realize that time zones very much are a thing that I need to be thinking about. And that's why I have like one night stream and one day stream each week. Like, that at least tries to hit some of this. Alright, what am I plague engineering? Like, literally anything hits this. Servo? Servo stops the 1/1s from Retrofitter Foundry while also killing this. It could be correct to just, like, jam Ninja, but Not sure. If opponent doesn't have like Fatal Push or Daze, Obliterator is really good. They do have Fatal Push. Like they have one card. That one card can be one of probably 6-ish cards in their deck to answer this. Otherwise, I grind them to a halt. And then Murderous Rider their ninja the following turn. Maybe also while playing Bob. I think I'm good with this. I'm also just like not going to attack with the Plague Engineer. The Obliterator does get answered. I very much would like to still have this to Death Touch a Ninja. Morning, Nathan. Now I'm comfortable crashing in. Ooh, yeah, I don't know about that brainstorm. You're real close to dead if you brainstorm. Lily Edict. Just name Ninja with Plague Engineer. Yuriko doesn't do damage then. I think I like attack with everything. See if they chump block. If they chump block, Lily minus. And kill the Yuriko. Oh, there's done with me. Sure, Nathan, feel free. Don't know that I love Thoughtseize on the draw. Like, my life total was definitely relevant that game, between Dark Confidant, Thoughtseize, and Murderous Rider. But I can't really board in Inquisitions over it instead, because the ninjas cost too much. Missing Ingenious Infiltrator, for example, is a really big deal. Alright. I think this list needs a touch more life gain. We have 6 lifelinkers. You get to stop Retrofitter, Foundry, or Oko on turn 1. Followed up with a Bob for card draw, but I have no removal spells, but like almost every card that I draw is a removal spell, so I think this is still keepable. That's a much better turn 1 play than Pithing Needle in the dark. I mean, I got another 2 for 1 with Thoughtseize. I'm good with that. T-Dog, if you're a visual person, you can also hover over the cards on screen. That's the Cardboard Live extension, and that will help you out as well. Oh, I can't daze here, notably. As long as this Pithing Needle resolves, we're good. Now the question is, like, do I attack the Oko and kill the Oko over 2 turns, just in case of Abrupt Decay? Excuse me. There's only 2 Abrupt Decays in this deck, assuming they're playing the same build as before. If I attack this Oko down to 2 and they plus it up to 4, I'm attacking it for, like, ever anyway. I think it's correct to just go to their face here. And if they have one of the 2 Abrupt Decays to answer this Needle, I'm sad. I'm not going to play into a daze here. I think removing this is very important. That's also a quite good draw. Again, let's play around daze. Now that I have that answered, I don't know that I play around a daze. Like, I have the Castle Locthwain that I would like to start activating, which means that I would like to empty my hand. Like, once I have something on board that answers partially or totally some of their creatures, that feels pretty good. The only punish is if this card is Abrupt Decay. Or I guess Assassin's Trophy. That's pretty good. Fatal Push is pretty good. That means I can kill this elk if it turns into an elk. I think I'm supposed to attack the Oko to shut off an exchange? I don't really want to give them this creature and then like have them also top deck a creature so that like these creatures don't do a ton. Yeah, Oko is stupid. That's really annoying. That makes my edict so much worse, and it makes this really awkward. That, though, that is very good. One has no cards. So I edict them, they make a token for 2 mana. I fatal push one of these things, then I murderous rider kill this, and we're good. Retrofitter Foundry is still annoying and makes some top decks significantly better, but like, yeah, such as that. But opponent is at 7. 8 for 5? I can just edict this, but it requires a little finesse, right? Otherwise they just make a servo. I think this turn starts with trying to kill that, and then they turn it into a larger creature. Yep, yep, yep. Then I'm fine with this Liliana having been a double edict. I guess I could have done this first, because I'm probably doing this anyway. And then I've already activated that. Crash in for 5. Pretty sure opponent is not factually dead there. It's bad, but I'm pretty sure they're not dead if they draw an Abrupt Decay there. They Abrupt Decay one of the creatures, they, in combat, servo block the other one. Yeah. I think they had outs to continue playing that game and then rip into another Oko or something. But I think it's low percentage, so I understand the scoop. With one more land for any one of those cards, I would keep this hand, but not as it stands now. Okay, 5 mana turn 1, or 3 mana turn 1. 3 mana turn 1 is Thoughtseize and him and Dark Ritual. Yes, I will keep this. I think we have to throw away the namesake card here. Second Dark Ritual is really important for if I rip well and hit a 3-drop Planeswalker. The Ashiok isn't in the deck. 14 card sideboard. Womp, womp. So there's a very long conversation to be had about which one of these things that you do first. There are like tactical reasons why you do both. I'm going to Thoughtseize first. We're gonna take the one creature that's in their hand and try to buy some brainstorms. Nope. All right, we hit Berserk Vines. But opponent could brainstorm lock and kill themselves here. What do you mean, why did I keep this hand? We got rid of 3 other cards on turn 1. Like, I don't think you get to mulligan this hand. This hand is a very good 6-card hand. Ooh, going for the second brainstorm here. It's very, very rough for them if they don't find a fetch land. That's good. But they probably can't activate that with protection and a kill on 3 cards. I mean, let me put it this way. I cannot imagine a world where I mulligan that hand. Like, for these sorts of decks, Dark Ritual into 2 discard spells on turn 1 is very good. We're not going to try to kill this in combat. Let our opponent make the first move. Alright. The doctor, no one's saying that this strategy is good. But when you're playing this strategy, that's about as good as it gets. This is very good against Nexus and against Oko. This is very good against Nexus. Very good at sweeping the board. This kills a creature. This may end up being better than other cards that are in the deck, but I'm going to start sideboarding out first. So basically, almost all the cards in my deck kill creatures. So I'm looking to play to the board a lot by doing something like that. The Thought Seizes can punch a hole in the game plan and give me more time to actually get discard online. I don't really think this is great. Like, it's a lifelinker in a matchup where my life total doesn't really matter. I also want to board these out. So, do I board in a discard spell that disrupts them, or do I build in something that clocks them quickly and also turns Glistener Elves into incredibly awkward cards? And Elks. Well, not so much Elks. That one's a little more situational in terms of timing. Yeah, I think I like surgically being able to pick at the hand when I'm on the draw. And when I'm on the play, I might play him or Obliterator over the Inquisitions. This is a matchup where I might have to worry about my creatures getting berserked in combat. Plenty remaining lands. Alright. I don't feel good about this hand. I feel like we can miss a land drop once, though, and totally be fine, which is why I've kept this. What do you have for me? Yeah, I mean, if you wanna play a bad deck in Modern, seems like a great start. Noble Hierarch is going to just get caught up in a Toxic Deluge here at some point in this game. I'm good with them having that. Between Ponder and Teferi, I take Ponder, my opponent has no ability to sculpt their hand this game. But Teferi is the scarier card by a lot. I think I'm just going to take the Teferi. They can Ponder or play Hierarch during their turn, and then I get to Thoughtseize and pick apart their hand a little bit more. Like, either allowing me to take whatever they get off the Ponder, or allowing me to take the Ponder. I think you're supposed to play the Hierarch here. So, do I get your card selection, or do I get 2 cards? How good is your remaining card? Force pitch a daze. Okay. Um, all in all, that's good with me. I did not. Congrats to that person, but I can't imagine wanting to play D&T in serious events right now. Like I love forcing D&T as much as the next guy. Actually, I probably love forcing D&T way more than the next guy. But like why? Oh, I'm really not fucking good at answering that card. Uh, that's super awkward. Like one of the things that I want them to have least. No clock currently. Alright. Probably dead to Sylvan Library. I think I need to do this. This is a terrible line, but I think I need to do this to slow down the impact that this Sylvan Library has. Like, I don't think I can let them go Oko plus Infect Creature on this next turn, for example. And if I miss land drop 3, or they, like, have a daze to answer, like, Deluge, it's very bad for me. So we start trying to answer it now. But opponent has 2 cards in hand and didn't play anything else, so the chances of this working are pretty low. Yep. Alright, we're dead. GG. Catch away your bad cards with library. Nope. The cards are good. The cards were good. The cards were hiding on top because they were so good. Man, why would you play that prior to a brainstorm? That specifically shuts off lines that allow you to go off this turn with protection. Like Invigorate, Berserk plus Daze or something like that is pretty much a guaranteed kill. I think I'm actually supposed to name Nexus here, as weird as it is. So if I just name Elf, and they have 2 pump spells, I die to Nexus. If I name Nexus and they have 2 pump spells, I probably don't die to Glistener Elf. If, like maybe if one of them is Berserk. But otherwise, I might trade multiple cards here, which seems important. Oh wait, no, it's not Nexus. It's a Blink Moth, isn't it? Just gonna confirm here. We're still just gonna get bodied by the Sylvan Library. Like, there's so many lines that are just going to beat me. Like, even something stupid like Oko is just great against this board. All I need is time. Time means that these 3 removal spells can do things. Opponent maybe can take 2 more cards off of library. Well, alright. Finishing the thought, opponent can maybe take 2 cards off of library, but with fetch lands, it's more likely that they only get 1 more card off of library. Well, this is insane. Let's try this. Sure. That was going to hit any of my cards anyway. We're now to the point where some single spells can kill us, such as Become Immense. We're effectively at 5, since there's 2 on board showing, so only 5 more needs to happen. Yeah, they took a card there. I should almost assuredly be dead. Oh, Mono Black Control is not a deck in Legacy, but we're playing it anyway. That's about the situation. Yep. Yeah, so we can kill one of these things and then die to the remaining 2. So I think very easily this is the line. Very, very easily this is just the correct line. Strong. Yeah, like, Veil of Summer runs around in Legacy, which really invalidates discard-based strategies. Cards like Oko and Uro and Dreadhorde Arcanist also invalidate strategies like this one. And, like, there are multiple of those sorts of effects in the most popular decks of the format. This is a Dark Ritual-based hand that doesn't have a Dark Ritual payoff thing. Unless opponent is playing something like Elves, this is not a good hand. And I have no data on them. This is better in a vacuum. Let's keep the 3rd land and toss back one of these 2. That is correct. It is an uncounterable strategy. That's what makes it very good. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Luris sort of like white weenie aggro deck of the companion era. Ooh, we got 2 payoff cards. That's really good. But I don't know that that strategy is viable anymore. There's so much life gain in this format between Uro and Oko, and there's also Dreadhorde Arcanist, which keeps flashing back lightning bolts and things of that nature. So I don't know that that strategy is actually valid. I would not recommend trying. It was like very fun at the time, but that was a deck that was very much built around Lurrus as a card advantage engine, and Lurrus was super central to the deck's success. So without the central card to the strategy, and with the format being more hostile to just an aggressive aggro deck of that nature, I don't think you're gonna have something that's going to be enjoyable to play. I don't know which one of these is correct. I'm more likely to be able to Thoughtseize plus do something else next turn, but if opponent has like another Narset, or maybe even a 4-mana card, I may give them the opportunity to play it this turn, but this lets them loot and find a card that's better, but it costs some resources. I think I'm going to Thoughtseize. Well, isn't that awkward? So taking the Echo is bad. That just puts it in the graveyard. I think I'm supposed to take the LED here. Song of Creation is probably not getting in play. This would let them loot anyway. Just throwing it out there. I'm good with us both drawing 7 and resetting hands. Like Son of Atreus over there. I assume that's what that last name there means. I'm good with resetting. Yeah, let's go. I'm trying to think if one versus the other of these particularly matters. Well, it's probably not a Dazed deck. This potentially has more value later if I hit a Liliana Planeswalker. This is selection, though, and selection might matter in the case of, like, Urza. So let's just Triumph here. Yeah, I just had the second Echo. That's really annoying. I don't even get one card here. I mean, if they bricked on everything, this is okay. Otherwise, this is very much not okay. Alright. Fuck me, alright. I think we'll stop there. That one got me in the morale. I think we're going to be a Leyline deck here. That Echo BS is very good against what I'm doing. I think I like Obliterators. They're expensive, but opponent having to sack 5 permanence if I chump block with an Obliterator against a giant construct token is neat. At this point, maybe I figure out what's bad. I'm sorry. I am, but this is just like not up to snuff here. I don't know about my individual targeted removal. I guess answering riddlesmiths is kind of important. I have mixed feelings about discard. Punching the hole is nice, but trying to grind out opponent's discard with discard is bad against a bunch of draw sevens, so I probably don't play hymns. Probably keep Thoughtseizes though. Plague Engineer is probably eh. I can shut off all the Riddlesmiths at once with it, but I don't really know. Well, something like this good. I am going to keep this. And now I get to Pithing Needle something blind on turn 1. Look, there's a lot of bad black cards that you can play in these sorts of decks. You don't get to play them all. You have to choose which bad ones you want to play. It is part of Veils, right? Yes. I'm just going to take the one that I 100% know is in their deck. I've got other pretty good guesses about what's going on over there, but I don't have confirmed information. So I'm just going to use the confirmed information to shut off one of their selection spells. Notably, my Cling to Dust is not looking great right now. I have to use it on my own graveyard. Do I fetch and then just Cling to Dust to get a card here? I think I do. I think I want to hit that third land pretty badly. This makes my Fatal Push a little bit worse, though. Not happy about this, but having something in play that can put pressure on my opponent seems important. Wow, Basic Mountain even? I'm Grifty. Have you seen the Referent Silence? Alright. Have you seen the Curses deck? That's basically a deck like this that that goes that direction. I think I am going to try to hit a land drop this turn. Nice. This is 4, 5. Yep. My ley line has been shown off. Unfortunate. That was supposed to be a surprise for later. Oh yeah, Nethervoid is one of the like big daddy of bad black cards. Like very, very much so. I tried a Nethervoid deck recently as a part of the brewing contest I hosted. It was not good. It was not good at all. Well, my hand got better, but the bad news is their hand probably got better too. Yeah, I mean, this is why you don't play. Well, this is one of the many reasons why you don't play these sorts of decks in Legacy. Like, it's rough. The one mana counterspell that cantrips is very frustrating. And now we're in the modern eggs situation where I'm probably dead or close to dead, but I can't concede yet because I might not be dead. Is always a fun position to be in. Monster Train is in beta for the next patch, which is really fun. 5 new champions are being added. I've been enjoying those a lot. I think there's still some balance issues there, but overall it's been very, very fun. Recorded a couple of videos so far and streamed it once. I think I'm gonna maybe stream some more Monster Train either today or tomorrow. I get to do something again. Oh god, it's still hexproof. That's how that works. Alright. I'm just killing this so that I can have 6 again. This is not the optimal play. The optimal play is to wait and see if they like get another Riddlesmith in play, but this is what I'm doing. I'd rather just like sit here and talk while my opponent takes 10 minutes to combo off. Yeah. The new Monster Train stuff is really interesting. Kind of a power creep side of the equation a little bit, in that like a lot of the new cards are like very, very strong. But I don't know that they're going to be too strong after toning down some numbers just a touch. We can only shut off some things here. There are 2 echoes gone, which makes just slamming Leyline a little bit worse. Just removing the Riddlesmith is okay. The thing is that we're likely dead, kinda no matter what I do. If I attack, I don't really end up losing life. I think I'm just going to crash in there. It decreases my opponent's life total while keeping me at the same life total after counting the Riddlesmith doing damage. Matt, it's going okay. We've gotten blown out by Veil of Summer pretty savagely. Um, and it turns out draw sevens are pretty good versus discard. To the surprise of no one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do your Song of Creation thing. The lines that I shut off are Echo and Emery based, whereas the lines that are still available are like Song of Creation, Burning Wish, and generic Storm stuff. Opponent missed a mana there by not tapping Mox Opal. God, another Reverent Silence? That was unexpected. Ugh. Actually, that's the same Reverent Silence again in all likelihood, right? That's that's what that is. So I think they Burning Wished for it before, and then they redrew it in that set of cards. Opponent now gets a lot of looks, but again, I'm like very much not deterministically dead, so I can't concede. And I have a bunch of cards in hand that are like totally fine against what they're doing if they don't actually just combo off and kill me. Like, for example, I can kill both Riddlesmiths next turn. What the fuck are you doing? There's gotta be a Tendrils in that sideboard, right? Like, I'm just dead to double crack for black Tendrils kill? Like, you gotta have Tendrils, right? Alright. So for anyone unfamiliar with this loop. Oh, no, JK. Yeah, Tendrils drains for 2. Like, I'm assuming there's a Tendrils in the board because, like, you have LEDs, and it's very easy to use one LED for black and just have a finisher that requires you to have 10 less Storm. Riddlesmith is now hiding under Lion's Eye Diamond? Nope, not anymore. Like, it's possible the deck only has Grape Shot, but it seems very free to use one sideboard slot for the Tendrils. Oh! Okay, alright. I take it back. I am at 37 life somehow. My opponent cast multiple Reverent Silences, and I also have lifelink. Okay, that's why I'm not dead. Alright, so anyone not familiar with this really boring loop? Whenever an artifact ETBs under your control, if Overchased Daredevil is in your graveyard, you can return it to hand. So the idea is you play an artifact, which allows you to loot, and that artifact enters play, and that allows you to get Overchased Daredevil back, and that loop just like repeats, where you get to like loot through your deck using Overchased Daredevil. Notably, opponent has used up 3 Echoes and 2 Burning Wishes already, and a third Burning Wish is under this Chrome Mox. They actually might find it hard to kill me. Especially if they mill through important cards using Emery. I'm not dead. I might even be favored. It's just really boring. Like, opponent does not have that many cards. Well, I guess that's the wrong way to look at it. Like, opponent has a lot of cards, but also might accidentally kill themselves. They need to build a lot of Storm without killing themselves via Riddlesmith. Or is this a May or a must? It is a May. Okay, so they don't have to kill themselves via Riddlesmith. Yeah, they don't have another Burning Wish, right? They can't kill me. Yeah, it sure doesn't look like they can kill me. Yeah, I'm good. They have 3 Burning Wishes. This is why I didn't concede. Yeah, they just killed themselves with Echo. Yep. Nice deck. Pithing Needle might not be good enough to just stop Narset if Reverent Silence is something that's going to be happening. I think I'm going to play some Inquisitions instead. Yes, this is fine. Try to strip their hand. Try to strip their hand, stick a bob. Hope they can't go ham on turn 1 because I don't have leyline. I don't really see how Basic Mountain is acceptable in this deck. The opponent has Song of Creation and Mystery card. Mystery card is not a land. Mystery land could be Veil of Summer, in which case casting this Inquisition is bad. This Inquisition might miss anyway, so I think casting the Inquisition is probably a net positive for my opponent. I'm just going to put a Bob into play. Man, Phil, you are so smart and sexy. I know me. I know. Yep. That's fine. Alright. Show me Veil. Otherwise, I'm good with just putting this. God fucking damn it. Otherwise, I'm just good with putting this card into my graveyard for Cling to Dust reasons. Ugh. That's just so annoying. Like, I successfully played around a Veil. Opponent had a second. And, like, there's nothing to say while they're doing this either. Like, it's not like things are super interesting. And again, you can't concede because you're not dead. That's the worst part about playing against these sorts of decks. And about, like, the only thing I can say is every once in a while, like, oh, opponent's missed sequence there, opponent's missed a mana there by not tapping a Mox Opal before legend ruling it. Like, the best I get to do. Morning. Our opponent's gold fishing. We're gonna see if they can kill us. It's really boring, but they couldn't kill us last time, and I won a game because they had no win conditions. So, yeah, here we are. Yeah, basically, this deck was brewed around this card, and we've boarded it out, I think, without fail in every matchup so far. Uh, Rough. Okay, that should just be a tendrils to kill me. Justin, thank you very much for following. Yeah. All right. There's a tendrils. Opponent has 4 mana. There's nothing I can do. There we go. Odorific, thank you very much for following as well. All right, get into another game here. Very much hard to not get tilted after some of those things like that occur. Like the 2019-2020 cards always hit morale a little bit. Hey Arkin, welcome. Hope you had a good stream. We are currently playing Mono Black Control. We are 1 and 2. I am a little bitter about the game. Like, we got blown out by Vale after playing around Vale successfully. Opponent took like 10 more minutes of time than we did in that match to like goldfish their kills, one of which times they fizzled because they had no win conditions remaining in their deck, and yet they played on anyway, trying to get a concession. Like, it's not great Magic, right? Like, it's very poor content. Like, this is part of the reason why eggs got banned in Modern. I think I just talked about this either last recording or on the podcast, where like there's the famous example where like a player was watching his opponent go off and was just like, "Hey judge, I need to use the bathroom. Can you make sure they don't do anything illegal?" And just walked away from the match. And Gucci's great. Such a good player. I don't want to say I grew up watching his content because like that's not true because I started watching his content when I don't know, I was in my 20s at some point, but like he was one of the few people very regularly producing legacy content that was visible to a huge chunk of the community. Like I very very much appreciate that. What is opponent playing? This Lotus Petal is really throwing me off. Are they just a Storm deck? I guess this is just a Storm deck with a very strange opener. The fact that this opener looks like this after they've cantripped is so strange. How does his hand improve the quickest? His hand improves the quickest by casting that Brainstorm. Thoughtseize is not currently castable without using the Lotus Petal, so I think I take the Brainstorm. They Lotus Petal to Thoughtseize me, I'm good with that. Otherwise, I'm going to attack their hand for a couple of turns and then stick a Bob or a Lily, and we're maybe done. Yeah, Justin. I think that keeping in mind play patterns is really important for managing a game well. Like data in terms of like win rates and stuff is super cool, but at the end of the day, if the gameplay experience is very bad, like that drives players away from the game, and that's something that you need to keep in mind. Well, Doomsday is usually not on red, right? Like Doomsday tends to be in Esper colors. So it's more likely that this is something like Ant. It's a little hard to tell. Like we've just seen a handful of cantrips thus far. Boy, man, that's kind of crazy. No, I don't think it's interesting that they don't play out the pedal. I think it's correct to not play out the pedal. Like, if I thought sees them and they take a pedal, they're probably very happy with that instead of me taking a cantrip or a more valuable card. I know three of my opponent's cards, and they're not particularly great. I don't think I get killed this turn. In which case, putting this into play is probably pretty good. It starts the beat, and it gives me a higher chance of drawing into something like Hymn to Turok, which would really push the needle in my direction. Oh, that's a Ponder, not the Preordain. Like the dream is draw Thoughtseize so that draw Hymn to Turok so that I can both Thoughtseize and Hymn to Turok in a turn cycle. One has a tough Ponder. Probably made more difficult by the fact that they know that I have a Thoughtseize available. And now I'm just down to knowing that they have a Lotus Petal. Bottom bottom. You love to see it. That is a more valuable card that I think it is correct to play out. The Plague Engineer, that's fine. That shuts off some Empty the Warrens baselines. So the kind of spooky thing here is that I am getting kind of close to a life total threshold where Natural Storm is becoming very easy for my opponent. I'll take the Infernal Tutor. Like I'm at 13. Opponent probably has a good card remaining on the top of their deck, presumably. Oh wait, no. The last cantrip was preordained, so that's not true. It's blind. Infernal Turtle. Gotta get an altar. Like this is big enough where it totally could be a turtle. Like I can see this being a turtle shell and these being like some stubby little legs. around this, I don't know, was that like an assassin or something? Just this and that. Thank you very much for following. Oh, a Ninja Turtle even? I don't know about Ninja Turtle. Hey, Rabbi, thank you very much for following. Barring a good draw from either my natural draw step or Dark Confidant, assuming that we get there, I might just need to play out Murderous Rider as a lifelinker to help stabilize my life total a little bit. Had an awkward game in terms of mana, where we haven't been able to play our spells very efficiently. My opponent has given me the sorry thinking, so they're in a bit of a weird spot apparently. Yeah, so like in terms of theory, the best way to beat Storm is interact from multiple different fronts. So, for example, you would like to have a mix of something like permanence and counter spells, where you're not just all in on one basket. Because if you're all in on one basket, then some card like Serenity, for example, like when you go all in against like a Reanimator deck and they play Serenity and it takes out like your Chalice and your Leyline at the same time, it feels so bad. And so when you can diversify and like you have a Null Rod and a Spell Pierce or like an Aethersworn Canonist and a Flusterstorm or something like that, a lot of those situations end up being really good. Yeah, like this is the same problem, right? Where our mana doesn't quite work out the way that I want my mana to work out for me to be able to cast multiple spells. This problem is like very much fixed as of the next game when I get to board out all of these removal spells for other pieces of interaction and ley lines, which are going to be free. How good was that? We put a Past in Flames into the graveyard. So that's technically nice, but awkward. Alright, I'm just gonna have 6. I don't think I'm gonna have a Fatal Push target. Depending on what my opponent's hand looks like, they may just choose to, like, Past in Flames to cast a bunch of cantrips and rebuild. It's unlikely that they can kill me this turn. Like, the initial cantrip has to be real good for that to happen. But I might be looking at cast Past in Flames, cast 3-ish cantrips, and call that a turn. The Abyss card is too much mana. They don't have rituals in the graveyard. Oh yeah, Coin Man. There's a lot of classic Stormlines that involve you not actually being able to go off, but if your opponent interacts, you can go off. So like you try to go off, and then like their brainstorm looking for interaction actually gives you the lethal that you need. It's a weird world. Yeah, Ant is probably not playing Pure, whereas Tess is playing Pure, but like they don't have the mana to cast it anyway. Okay, yeah, so they found a Dark Ritual off of the initial cantrip. That's really strong. So this is why I was worried about my life total earlier. It's because a Tendrils for a very small amount is just lethal. Like this is a Tendrils that kills me when it wouldn't have been lethal if I was at a higher life total. But like this, we have a lot of cards to sideboard out. Is basically what I'm going to be getting at. So actually, it might be easier to do this the other way this time around. I don't want Fatal Push. I don't want Eliminates. I don't want this. I don't want this. So we need to start by removing 8 cards. And I would like very badly to remove more cards than this if possible. The Inquisitions can get in there, and Leylines can get in there. Are we needling fetch lands? Seems kind of like we're either needling fetch lands or playing Obliterators just as another thing that closes out the game. I think I need a clock. I think the Pithing Needle on Polluted Delta line is not exactly insane. Our game one was just like super awkward. We had disruption that made my opponent's hand very, very, very bad, but I couldn't use my mana well, and I didn't have a clock, and I was bleeding myself. Like, all in all, this, like, not where I want to be. This is very good. Jeez, especially after my opponent mulligans. I think this time I'm going to cast the Hymn first, and then the Thoughtseize, rather than the other way around, because I know this is resolving. I'm going to cast the Hymn, junk some of their good... Oh, oh god. They have nothing. Yeah, we'll take the Ponder there. That was brutal. We're going to have a Liliana of the Veil down very quickly here. That is a really annoying Thoughtseize. That's oh wow. I don't think I played this wrong. That's just the exact sequence of cards that punishes me for the line that I took. Like, I have this Liliana so that I know I can strip cards from their hand, like, very, very easily. So, leaving them with this uncastable Infernal Tutor, and I know they're going to play out both LEDs, so then I'm going to get to Liliana plus take an Infernal Tutor in all likelihood. Like, taking them off the Ponder means that it's just so, so strong. Like, all of my future spells are so much stronger if they don't get any selection. Um, I assume I'm dead. I haven't mathed it out. 5, 6, 7. Maybe I'm not deterministically dead if they're brainstorming. No, I'm deterministically dead. Well, there's an article from a couple years back about like how to play those exact situations. Uh, they do very different things. Like casting the Thoughtseize first makes it more likely that the hymn hits lands. Casting the hymn first allows you to go and pick more selectively with the Thoughtseize. Like there are very different things that these do. It's not clear cut. There isn't just a correct answer there. I've just been the plague engineer here. It doesn't matter too much what I've been because like this Liliana is just going to strip my hand anyway. So like that time I think it was correct to him then Thoughtseize, but the other time around I thought it was correct to Thoughtseize then him. It just like really depends. Should have plague engineered on one on elves in the dark. This person doesn't even have elves in their Finnish history, and that's what makes it like even more impressive. All right. Do I want to keep this Liliana alive, or do I just want to kill a Dryad Arbor and just accept that? Liliana has gotten sick value already. I think it's just a minus. The minus makes some of my opponent's best lines worse, so some of their best lines involve something like Elvish Visionary into a second elf in one turn, or something of that ilk. I have this Castle Lochtwain to like pull ahead as this game goes long. I think I just accept that I have stripped my opponent of everything that they love. I'm gonna get F6 value here and just draw this card now. Oh yeah, head catcher, I was supporting you. I was just like checking to see. Like, it's confirmed impressive. Stride Arbor might be better than Heritage Druid right now. Opponent is nowhere near critical density. The cool thing is that if my opponent has something like a Glimpse or Natural Order at any point in this game, this Hymn to Torok gets to nug it because it's not castable. Although there is a world where I just cast it here to get it out of my hand so that I lose one fewer points of life off Castle Lochtwain if I miss next turn. Yeah, there's going to be a very narrow window where this is good, actually. No. I'm gonna just get this out of my hand. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I am gonna have 5 lands in addition to it. Toxic Deluge, X equals 1, Plague Engineer, eh. I don't want to cast this Thoughtseize here. Ah! I'm gonna riot if we lose this game after that start. Just like, full on, in the streets. Signs and everything. I don't know exactly what I'll be complaining about, but I'll be complaining. Never mind. We're okay with how things have unfolded this game now. Elf. Opponent is done. What this huge lag spike means. No, I don't think so, Headcatcher. I took a second to think about that myself, but I don't think that's actually true. I don't think I'm activating that castle too many more times. So this is probably the pile of stuff that I'm going to be thinking about, and this is the pile of stuff that I'm probably just boarding in without thinking about it too much. I'm not sure about Kalitas versus Obliterator. I probably want one of them and not both of them. The lifelink is nice, but sacrifice 5 and like kind of being unblockable is also nice. I don't want Cling to Dust. So that's going to get a Deluge and an Edict in. I'm not actually super sure about hymns here. It feels like I want to surgically pick at the cards that matter. And then most of the rest of the time I'm looking to like really X for one them with Plague Engineer, Toxic Deluge, and things of that nature. Shutting off Wirewood Symbiote seems really important for what I'm doing. Maybe that means I play one Obliterator. Let's try this. I'm also going to run to the restroom real quick. I will be right back. Okay. I'm just gonna whack keep on this hand and I'll figure out what I'm doing with it later. I feel so sorry for the opponent right now. That, like, most certainly was a misclick, right? That was just supposed to be like a Heritage Druid or a Green Sun or something. I think I'm just going to take the natural order here. I think I can fight through the normal stuff that they have. I can also just like play an Obliterator and say, like, deal with it. They have 2 Dryad Arbors. There they are. I think I'm just going to start killing their stuff. We'll win the game later. I don't think I need to be in a hurry to use this Dark Ritual. The Dark Ritual is still good later. Like, I have 2 more removal spells in hand. And just keeping opponent off of lines that kill me probably just leads to me winning this game at some point. Is this the Dark Ritual turn? So that I can kill Dryad Arbor and Needle Symbiote? Or do I just Needle and Obliterator and call that good? Take, like, Cradle plus Natural Order to beat me at that point. So this is a pretty good clock, and it's going to be backed up by 1 piece of removal next turn, and 1 piece of removal the following turn. That seems fine. We're basically just scared of Natural Order. And Oko, I guess, is a beating too, if that's what that blue represents. Yeah, Leovold is the other option. I mean, I think Visionary is what you're doing with that Green Sun 100% of the time, so I don't think you get to read into that situation too much. I don't think I like Lily Plus. I'm not afraid of Heritage Druid, I'm more afraid of Dryad Arbor. Because Dryad Arbor right now represents the 4th mana for Natural Order. So there's a chance that the card they just drew off Elvish Visionary is Natural Order, and there's also a chance that the card they draw for turn is Natural Order. I'm thinking about just Murderous Ridering the Dryad Arbor. Then if I draw a land next turn, I have Lily plus Thoughtseize. The awkward thing is that 1 mana elf plus Natural Order still gets there in terms of mana. Right, but killing Dryad Arbor takes them off of 4 mana in a lot of worlds. Not all worlds, but in a lot of worlds. I guess like if they have natural order, they get to cast it such a huge percentage of the time. Why not just Thoughtseize? Just Thoughtseize is fine. But it uses my mana so inefficiently. And next turn, if I draw a land, I can do 3-drop plus 1-drop, which is much better. All right. Since they're gonna have three cards to have a 1 mana elf, let's just take that off the board. Nothing mattered. Nothing mattered. Well, it depends. If this was the card, if the natural order was the card they drew for turn, it matters. Nothing matters. Sorry, but if it was a card that was in hand, then the Thoughtseize matters. What the hell are you doing with your life? You know it's 2020? Like, that would have been a great time for a Toxic Deluge or Plague Engineer. Lily Plus now? Like Lily Plus, take one of those remaining cards, hide behind Phyrexian Obliterator, trade it with Regal Force and 5 of their other permanents. The awkward thing is that if they have another natural order here and I don't try to specifically take it, it's bad for me. But we have a long discussion about what I'm going to discard here. I am just going to discard the Pithing Needle. There are worlds where I want to keep the second Pithing Needle because it allows me to play around like an Oko on Pithing Needle a little bit better and like be able to answer the Oko better, but like I don't know. Okay. Cool. Just want to point out that opponent cast a turn 1 Glimpse of Nature for no cards and also has Regal Force in their deck. That's all. think I want this other Obliterator in now. Yeah, Captain QC. I was just like so thrown there by like opponent having Regal Force in their deck, period. And like after that turn one glimpse play, I was not maybe thinking about like the fact that they could have had that in hand. I was more focused on the fact that I thought they were bad. So Thoughtseize was probably the line that turn. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe not. Maybe one Obliterator is fine. Like, the Obliterator looked good there, but most of the time I'm really just looking for a Plague Engineer type card. I mean, this hand has a Plague Engineer plus a pile of other relevant things. Like, this is good. I will still probably Fatal Push the first elf that's played. My ideal world is like getting to hit a Dryad Arbor with this Fatal Push instead, though. Yeah, or a non-elf card. Great. So this would bring me up to 5 mana this turn, which doesn't really do anything. Do I just want to play a Liliana and minus it and encourage them to play multiple elves? No, I don't think so. Let's just get this in play. It makes glimpse-based things so much less good. Now this turn, now that I have this safety net in play, I think it's time to just go to town on their hand. So I think I'm going to go Lily plus discard my other really Lily, Dark Ritual, Lily's Triumph. And if I'm going to do that, I probably want to do it like this. Got a Gaia's Cradle. So now the question is, do I want to trade 2 of my cards for 1 of their cards, or do I want to wait? We'll wait. But I will probably do this on their end step if they don't play a creature. just so that I use all of my resources, because I'm likely to play whatever card that I have for turn, unless it's something like specifically Toxic Deluge. Oh, I was I was interested in where that was going. Okay, closing thoughts on the deck. The donor submitted a deck that was built around Kalitas, and over the course of 2 leagues, we did not get a single zombie token out of Kalitas. We almost always boarded it out, and we frequently sent it to the bottom with our mulligan decisions. So ultimately, I don't think this is a legacy playable card. Like, the donor really wanted it to be, it harkens to days past of a different time, a different metagame, probably a different format where that card was playable. But like, even with just like giant piles of removal and 2 different builds, we never successfully triggered this. And that is what it is. Not every strategy can be good. So this build folds a little bit harder to Veil of Summer than the other build that I tried on Thursday did, because like we have additional Hymn to Torox. But overall, this build felt more balanced. I like having the extra Plague Engineer. I liked Hymn to Torok that we mised a bunch of wins off of. But ultimately, I think the deck still has problems. Like, there's a lot of 3-drops in this deck. So, like, you have a lot of cool Dark Ritual-based hands, but it's kind of awkward that a bunch of your removal costs 3. Like, everything in this category is a removal spell, and it costs 3. So when your opponent has something like a Daze or a Spell Pierce that answers your card efficiently, it just kind of feels bad. Cling to Dust didn't do a ton in this league. It cycled itself a couple of times. We never escaped it. So I don't know whether or not that was good. Then again, we didn't play a lot of matchups that went like hyper long where it would have been good. So there's that. Overall, it was fine. Like, the league was not a disaster by any stretch of the imagination. We 2-3'd both of the leagues, which is fine, or something of that nature. Well, the Doctor, like, Kalitas is just a 4-mana card in Legacy. Like, that's a bad place to be in the first place, and that's its biggest problem. Like, it just commonly got discarded to Lily of the Veil, for example, or pitched to Mulligan decisions, or like just answered with Swords to Plowshares or something like that before it got any value. Like, 4-mana playable legacy cards are things like better than Palace Jailer. Palace Jailer's not even that good right now. Like, Jace is not particularly good right now. Like, the bar is so incredibly high for a 4-drop to be playable, mostly because the 3-drops of the past year are so good. Like, Uro, Oko, like, that's the bar that you need to be better than to be playable at 4 mana. So, like, Karn the Great Creator is like an example of a very good 4-mana card, and you're already cheating on mana there with things like Ancient Tomb, and the same is true of like other things like Thought-Knot Seer. So, like, in this mono black deck that is already probably using its Dark Rituals to cast this stuff early, it's not fueling this, and this isn't powerful enough to fuel out with a Dark Ritual. Just kind of leaves you with in a weird spot overall. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say about this deck.